I was at work, staring at a spreadsheet that was starting to blur, when my phone rang. It was an unknown number, but something told me to pick it up. On the other end, a calm voice introduced himself as the manager of my bank branch. He asked if I had a moment. I said sure, thinking he was about to sell me a new credit card. But then he said, "Sir, I'm calling to confirm the details of your beach house refinance, which was processed yesterday." I almost dropped the phone. Refinance? My beach house? I hadn't refinanced anything. My heart started pounding in my chest. I told him there must be a mistake. My beach house was fully paid off years ago. Why would I refinance it? The manager's calm demeanor started to crack. He said, "Well, sir, according to our records, you came into the branch yesterday, provided all the necessary identification, and signed the paperwork to take out a new loan against the property for $500,000. $500,000. The words echoed in my head. I felt dizzy. That wasn't me. I stammered. Someone has stolen my identity. The silence on the other end was heavy. The manager then told me to come to the bank immediately. I told my boss I had a family emergency and rushed out of the office, my mind racing. Who could do this? How did they get my information? My driver's license, my social security number, even my signature. When I got to the bank, the manager led me into a back office. He showed me the documents. The photo on the driver's license was not me. It was a man who looked vaguely like me, maybe 10 years younger, but definitely not me. But the signature. It was a perfect forgery. It looked exactly like mine. My hands were shaking as I held the paper. Someone had walked in, pretended to be me, and walked out with a check for $500,000, secured against my home. The manager explained the process. The me who came in had a brand new state-of-the-art fake ID. He knew my mother's maiden name, my date of birth, my entire history. He had answered every security question correctly. The bank staff had no reason to be suspicious. They had followed all their protocols. From their perspective, I had walked in and requested a loan. The first step was to file a police report. The police officer who took my statement was sympathetic but realistic. "This kind of sophisticated identity theft is becoming more common," she said. "These criminals are professionals." She took copies of all the fraudulent documents and my real ID. She told me they would open an investigation, but I shouldn't get my hopes up. The money was likely already gone, transferred through a series of shell accounts, and probably out of the country. Next, I had to contact the 3 major credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. I placed a fraud alert on my accounts and then a full credit freeze. This would prevent anyone from opening new lines of credit in my name. The process was a nightmare of automated phone systems and long hold times. Each call felt like I was shouting into a void. I had to prove my own identity over and over again, explaining my story to a dozen different customer service representatives. It was exhausting and emotionally draining. Then came the legal battle with the bank. Even though I was the victim, the bank's initial position was that the loan was valid. Their lawyers argued that their employees had done their due diligence. It was my responsibility to protect my personal information. I had to hire my own lawyer. The legal fees started piling up, adding another layer of stress to an already impossible situation. My lawyer explained that we had to prove I was not negligent. That's when I started to retrace my steps. How could someone get all my information? I thought about my life. I shredded my documents. I used strong, unique passwords. I was careful, or so I thought. My lawyer suggested we look into data breaches. With the help of a cybersecurity expert, we discovered that my information had been compromised in a massive data breach from a health insurance company 3 years prior. My name, address, date of birth, social security number, everything had been for sale on the dark web. The criminals had bought my data package for a few dollars. Then, they had patiently watched my life from a distance. They used social media to learn about my job, my hobbies, my family. They found out I owned a beach house through public property records. They were building a complete profile. The cybersecurity expert showed me how they could have even used public photos. I was tagged in to get a better look at my face for creating the fake ID. It was terrifying. My entire life had been scraped from the internet and weaponized against me. The legal fight dragged on for months. I spent countless hours gathering evidence, giving depositions, and dealing with paperwork. My life was put on hold. I couldn't sleep. Every time the phone rang, I felt a jolt of anxiety. I started to question everyone. Was I being watched? The psychological toll was immense. It felt like I was the one on trial, not the criminal who had stolen my life. During this time, I learned so much about the world of identity theft. It's a massive, organized industry. There are specialists who create fake documents, people who gather information, and actors who go into banks to impersonate victims. It's a well-oiled machine, and ordinary people like me are the targets. The systems in place to protect us are full of holes. A determined criminal with the right information can bypass them with shocking ease. Finally, after nearly a year, we had a breakthrough. The police, working with federal investigators, had busted a large identity theft ring operating in several states. The man who impersonated me was arrested. His confession, along with the evidence my legal team had gathered, was the key. The bank, facing a public relations nightmare and undeniable proof of the fraud, finally agreed to cancel the fraudulent loan and cover my legal fees. The relief was indescribable. It felt like I could finally breathe again, but the experience changed me forever. I am now extremely cautious about my personal information. I use a password manager, two-factor authentication on everything, and I regularly check my credit reports. I've also drastically limited what I share on social media. My online presence is now minimal. The scariest part of this whole ordeal is that it can happen to anyone. You think you're safe, but your data is likely already out there, just waiting for someone to use it. The fight to clear my name was the hardest thing I've ever done. It cost me a year of my life, my peace of mind, and thousands of dollars, even though I was eventually reimbursed. So, what can you do? First, freeze your credit. It's the single most effective thing you can do to prevent someone from opening an account in your name. It's free, and you can unfreeze it temporarily when you need to apply for credit yourself. Second, use a password manager to create and store unique, complex passwords for every single account. Don't reuse passwords. Third, be incredibly skeptical of any unsolicited emails, texts, or phone calls asking for personal information. And finally, regularly check your bank and credit card statements for any suspicious activity. This experience was a brutal wake-up call. We live in a world where our identity is as much digital as it is physical, and we need to protect it with the same level of security we use for our homes. Don't wait until you get a call, like I did. Take the steps to protect yourself now. Thanks for listening to my story. Please be careful out there, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content on staying safe in our digital world.